Welcome back to another episode of Unbound Being. Today we're going to be looking at some more stuff that is keeping us bound, and we want to get rid of that because we don't like being bound. I don't know, and I bet you the people that are watching this don't like to be bound by all these crazy structures that we got in our world that are keeping us it's such a shitty place compared to what it could be. And what it could be, you all know who are watching this, you must know what we could have on this planet is we already have a brilliant planet, but we got some shitty binding structures that are keeping us tied. And today I wanted to talk about something that has to do with that, and that's really the unwillingness to look at things. You know, people don't really want to look at how these comparisons are. For example, today I want to talk about the difference between football, or any sport for that matter, and war. You know, the World Cup is going on right now. I don't watch any of it, and I don't watch it because it is for me the same thing as war. Now people make, you know, ridiculous jokes about me, and they laugh at me because they're not willing to take a real good close look at what the difference is between football and war. And the fact is, there's no difference. There might be less casualties, but the main psychological construct of it is the same. Let's say, for example, what's going on in a lot of countries in the Middle East, and some ethnic cleansing and all these kinds of things that are going on. Let's say Israel, for example, Israel and Palestine, and the stuff that's going on there. So what's the difference between football and the Israeli-Palestine stuff that's going on, where Israelis are basically murdering Palestinians because of an idea in their head? So there's an idea that, you know, I'm an Israeli and I'm a Palestinian. And that idea, which is an illusion, because there is no such thing as a Palestinian or an Israeli. There's no such thing. Because when you cut their bodies open, they are the same. When you look at our beautiful little planet floating out in space, we are one organism, and there's many different things on that organism, but there is no Palestinian. It's a concept. It's a mental construct which does not exist. And the same counts for football. I'm from this team, I'm on that team, it doesn't make any sense. First of all, the sports don't make any sense, but it is divisive. What they're doing is they're basically setting one against the other. And it depends on you making the choice that there is a difference, because there is no difference. There's a fictitious line where, especially in sports, these guys keep changing teams, right? Depends who pays the best or something like that, right? So there is no difference between one team and another. And the moment you start warring or competing against each other, this is the same mental construct where really there is nothing going on. There's a bunch of guys running around behind a football or a basketball or any ball. Basically, in most sports, it's running after balls because they usually don't have too much balls themselves, so they need to go run after balls. And basically what they're doing is nothing. They're doing nothing. If you really look at it, there's nothing until somebody explains to you that there's this thing going on where this team has to do this and this team has to do that. There's really nothing going on. There's a bunch of guys in a field with some lines, and they've decided to make little rules that this is the line, this is where we can go, this is what we can't do, we can't touch the ball like this, can't touch the ball like that, can't do this. It's all agreements which are made up. You can change them any moment if you would like. It's just fictitious, illusionary stuff. Now the same thing is for Israel and Palestine. The same thing happens where you say, you know, well, my God is like this, or my God is like that, or my religion is like this, and my religion is like that. When really, we're all humans on the same planet. Our bodies are flowing the same liquids. There is no difference between anybody, whether you're black or white, or Israeli or Palestinian. Now, of course, there is differences in appearance. There is white skin and black skin, and there's blue eyes, and there's brown eyes, and there's all kinds of stuff. But the fact is, finally, the Palestinian story, the Muslim story, the Christian story, the Jehovah story, the Buddhist story, it doesn't really matter, because we are all one. In the sense that, yes, there's differences, but no, we're all one organism coming out of the same field of consciousness, the same field of the universe. And the moment you start drawing fictitious lines, is what we do. You create a binding structure where we get competitive, where we get murdering. And that's what they do in football and most sports too. I mean, often they can behave pretty well, but they also sometimes bash each other's heads in because they're part of one team and another team end up smashing each other's faces in, because it is a form of war. Now, if you want to partake in that by looking at sports and participating in sports, then what you're doing is you're participating in a mental psychological structure that is exactly the same as war. It is basically a reinforcement of the structure of war. It's a competitive, it's a dividing, it's a you against me, them against us. It's a divisive way to structure your psyche so that when war comes, you'll actually choose sides again, be part of your team, which is your nationality, which doesn't exist. So I hope that helps, because we want to be unbound from these structures. And I want you to really see that, if you don't already, that what we're doing when we're going to war or going to sports and having competition, that, you know, all the excuses aside, because I know people will argue with me, you know, oh, sports, there is just healthy competition. Well, there's no such thing as healthy competition. What is healthy would be if people would participate in activities like sports, and then you'd still try to do your best, and at the end of it, you try to help, or during the sport, help each other get better. But that's not about it. It's keeping the secrets for yourself and trying to, you know, undermine other people, and that's basically the same thing as war. And so anybody partaking in these things are partaking in war. If you dislike war, if you're against murder, then you should be against all competition. And that is the things that can make us unbound. The realization that there is actually no difference. And many people will argue there are differences, and you can't compare these two. Yes, you can. Yes, you can if you really look. But if you're unwilling to look, you're unwilling to be unbound, you're unwilling to get rid of war, and you're basically making excuses for the reality of certain situations. So I hope that helps, and thanks for watching. Subscribe, and see you next time.